Ideologies keep us distracted from truth and connection. They're literally everywhere, in every facet of our lives. How you live your daily life is delegated by certain ideologies. Your feelings, the things that you believe, your reasons for certain actions, mostly delegated by ideologies. These ideologies are inadvertently passed down to us by people who raise us, not because they want to harm us, but most times because they want to help us. It starts when we're young, when our brains are in the lower frequencies of delta and theta. This is when the human brain is most programmable, or let's say the most susceptible to suggestion. During these stages, we're being taught about the world around us and how to use our senses to disseminate the environment. We learn to rely on our sight, sound, smell, touch, taste to make sense of things. It's well known that children are inherently connected to other senses outside of the 5 scientifically acknowledged senses. There are many instances of children remembering their past lives with details that were confirmed to be correct. Others remember family members that passed away before their birth. As a child, I would pick up on strong feelings from people. There were a few instances where I had a completely negative response to a person. I'd want to get away from them, they scared me, I felt their energy, and a full-on tantrum would commence. I was shamed by the adults and told I was wrong. It turns out in every instance, the person had either a criminal record or revealed later that they were harmful. So, a friend of my mother was a probation officer. Whenever I told her that I suspected someone, she'd pull their record. I was always 100% correct. Thank God for her. When I was young, they just didn't listen. I grew up in a 3-story historical building on our city square. By that, I mean I spent my free time there from age 5 to 43. It was a huge antique store literally filled to the brim with memories from the past. I became so familiar with the energies in that place. I don't know how else to say it, but I felt them and they knew me and they protected me as I grew up. There are many things I got into as a child there, and people that were not good hanging around. Trust me when I say the energies protected me. My mother did a good job of teaching me about evil entities. And in that store, there were many kinds of energies lurking in the places unseen. And as a child, I learned that things weren't always what they seemed. The unseen can be very tricky. They can make you think they're a helpless child or appear as a relative, angels, and ultimately trick your mind. I started to think that the energy I saw on objects in the store were also on people. And it wasn't until I was much older before I realized the true implications of that. I became very outspoken and headstrong. I feel it was a direct result of being disregarded when I knew I was right about a feeling or something I saw. I knew then that they were too distracted to look, much less see it. Eventually, my family learned to rely on my senses where people are regarded. And sometimes I still have to beat the table to get them to listen. But at least they have acknowledged that. The truth is, most people aren't going to keep fighting against everyone around. They're going to start to question themselves and rely on their 5 senses. It's literally a fight to be anything other than what is expected. So from a young age, we're taught to ignore the monster under the bed and just go to sleep. Ignore that feeling, push past it. By the time we reach adulthood, we've become so good at ignoring the unseen that it practically doesn't exist for some people. But that's the crux of the situation. It still exists, even if it's ignored, unseen, and not acknowledged. In fact, ignoring it is quite empowering to things of this nature. The energy I recognized as a child is what we would now call attachment energy. You might ask, how or why would the energy you felt on an object be found in a person's energetic field? This is where it gets hairy. The energy, for lack of a better word, that is connected to an object can be connected to a person, a place, or anything you can imagine. Many cultures believe that bars and places where alcohol is consumed are filled with these energies. They wait until someone becomes vulnerable by becoming drunk. They're able to attach to a frequency reached when one is under the influence of alcohol, or spirits, as they used to call it. It's funny how things like that are right under our noses and we never notice. The thing is that energy doesn't always go away after the hangover. Bars and alcohol are just one example of how these energies can find their way into your energetic field. Our emotions carry frequencies and are a direct conduit to some of these questionable energies. When we become extremely emotional or angry, we find a very vulnerable frequency where this energy can connect with our energetic field. I've watched it in scenarios as simple as driving in traffic and watching it bounce from car to car, person to person. In cases of traumatic experience or abuse as a child or teen or even an adult, we become susceptible to the energies of the circumstances. And it sticks with a person and will feed off their energies and breed more pain and despair. It's the nature of these things. Psychology does its best to make sense of the pain, and it offers useful tools to manage, but it doesn't make it go away. This energy sits waiting to feed. Because we've been trained to believe that everything is physical and that only what we see is calculatable, we've become unknowing tools to this energy. It has many faces and many ways to manifest in our life. And this is because people ignore it and do not know or accept our energy or anything of what is unseen. It's not your imagination that people are acting out of character or have lost their minds. They are literally drunk on these energies. A simpler analogy, they're buried under all of these energies. These individuals have become so caught up in the physical world that they have lost all connection to themselves, others, God, source, and all that matters. It's an infiltration and infestation on a non-physical level. And it's because of complete ambivalence to our true nature. Again, we were taught to ignore it. We were taught to follow what society, government, and religion tells us to do, think, and believe. Just ignore the monster and go back to sleep. That's exactly what we do. And we become totally susceptible to ideologies, beliefs, man-made concepts, and even these energetic entities. These things lead us further from the truth. They keep us from the truth. Awareness is the first step in strengthening your electromagnetic field. If you're unaware or choose to ignore what is right before you, then you'll remain a victim to the pain and destruction it brings. Allow yourself to simply dip your toe in the uncomfortable unknown. Evaluate your moods, feelings, and actions. Look at your energy. Become familiar with what you see. Review your ideologies. What do you believe? Why do you believe this way? What would happen if you stopped believing this way? Would there be repercussions? How would your friends and family respond? Would their response affect how you choose to believe or express yourself? Ideologies are funny. It's not only about what you believe, but what others think you believe. Personally, I try not to subscribe to any ideologies. I dabble in what feels right for me. I take what I can from everything I encounter. I want you to really take a look at whatever ideologies have emerged in your life and decide if they really serve you. Keep an eye on what you allow yourself to resonate with, and you'll be well on your way to understanding the truth of self and our connection to absolutely everything. Please hit the subscribe button below. Click the bell for notifications when I release new videos. Thank you for watching.